I think that the Gunnar Stockton disrespect has gone just a little bit too far for what I am going to allow it to go. Yes, I'm the czar on this thing. I'm the person who determines that. Not really, but I do think that people look. There are narratives, and it's talking. We're definitely in talking season where all the analysts, all the talking heads, we're making our opinions very well known. People are changing their minds, but something that I don't see changing, and I'm seeing to be a consistent trend from analysts, talking heads, experts, all of the above, is a little bit of disrespect for Gunnar Stockton. Now, I'm using the word disrespect, which is a strong one. It's the one that's in the headline, but it's because I think it's true at this point. Look, Gunnar Stockton is a former four-star quarterback who is, high school football legend, all that, yada, yada, yada. Was picked by Bobo, picked by Kirby Smart to be one of the guys in this program to build up for the future, and now he is the guy that they've chosen, right? Unofficially, it hasn't been announced, but he is the starting quarterback for Georgia. I don't think there needs to be an announcement about that. And there's still a lot of doubt about him. And all that's been seen of him has been fairly positive in terms of the limited action we've seen of Gunnar Stockton. It's not, oh man, Gunnar Stockton went in there and threw a bunch of bad interceptions. Gunnar Stockton went in there and just made a ton of terrible decisions. In the limited action we've seen of Gunnar Stockton, which was against high-level competition, it's been mostly promising. Yet I see these lists where Georgia's not ranked in the top 5 or ranked 8 or whatever, partially because of Gunnar Stockton. I see lists of the best quarterbacks in college football with 30 quarterbacks on it. I don't see Gunnar Stockton's name on that list. I see a list from well-renowned people, top 10 quarterbacks in the SEC. I don't see Gunnar Stockton's name on that. Are there really 10 quarterbacks better in the SEC than Gunnar Stockton? So I'm here talking to you, wanting to explore those questions and the things that I just discussed. And look, Kirby Smart went on Paul Feinbaum and defended Gunnar Stockton as well to Paul. Get into what that banter was about a little bit as well. But I think that people are not realizing that he is good. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you this is a Heisman winner. I'm not sitting here telling you I think Georgia's going to win the national title yet. I think that part of what's going to be so fun about this year and part of what has especially me excited for this season of college football is the mystery behind it, right? I don't know how good Georgia's going to be. I do think it's one of the best teams. I don't know who the best team in college football is, and that's what I think is kind of special heading into this season. Let's get into all of it. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post. Go to dawgpost.com. Go check out the newsletter. Go check out the magazine. Check out the deal, dawgpost.com. You see the way it's spelled in the corner. Go check it out. So, Feinbaum is one of the people. And look, just because I sit here and I discuss other people's opinions sometimes, it's a talking point. It's a jumping off point for me to give you what I think and a jumping off point for me to get into the nitty-gritty of the full topic. Now, with Paul, he said he thought the tape... No, he's not watching tape. He's watching the game. He thought it was underwhelming what he saw from Gunnar in the Sugar Bowl loss to Notre Dame. Well, Gunnar threw for about 234 yards. He was 20 for 32, which is 62.5% completion percentage. He did fumble on a strip sack, which did lead to a Notre Dame touchdown. It's on Gunnar and it's on the left tackle. But he didn't throw any interceptions. And what Gunnar showed to me in the Notre Dame game was something that he didn't necessarily show as much in the Texas game, which was the ability to throw it downfield, the ability to throw across the middle, the ability to throw accurately 20, 30, 40, 50 yards down the field with pressure. He did that against Notre Dame, and he showed those flashes. This is with him, for a month knowing, not even a full month knowing, okay, now I'm the starter, now it's around me, right? Kirby Smart and Georgia's coaching staff lost to Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame's coaching staff. Georgia lost this defensive battle and the special teams battle. Offensively, it really wasn't worse than Notre Dame. They lost everything else. And that's kind of what's interesting about that Notre Dame game. But we'll get more to Notre Dame and to Texas. When I look at these lists and I see Lenore Sellers, Arch Manning, DJ Lagway. You see Garrett Nussmeier, even Diego Pavia, whatever. I'm blanking on one of the other top guys. John Mateer from Oklahoma. Those are players who have kind of earned hype to an extent, one way or another, more or less. I've seen it with Lagway. Obviously, we've seen flashes with Arch. I think we've seen plenty of flashes with Norris Sellers. Garrett Nussmeier is a legit top 5 quarterback or top 5 overall pick potential. Heisman potential, that's certainly there with Garrett Nussmeier. Those guys have kind of earned hype. John Mateer, I think, is going to have a good year in Oklahoma. Earned hype to an extent. Gunnar hasn't played as much as any of those guys. So I understand why he would be ranked behind those players who have a lot of hype. But when I start comparing him to that next tier of quarterback, the Jackson Arnolds, who former Oklahoma, now Auburn quarterback, we haven't seen great things out of Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma. Why is that going to be much better at Auburn? It's my legitimate question. I see Austin Simmons get some serious hype. Now, he's barely played. He's played garbage time for Ole Miss. Talented lefty. I get it. Flew down the field against Georgia. I saw it with my own eyes. Kind of reminds you of Tua. He's wearing 13. He's left-handed. He's making those spot throws on slants and hitting the open spots of the zone. It looks like Tua a little bit, right? So I understand there's hype there, but has there been that much more? Have we seen that much more better than Gunnar, who's now started and helped lead Georgia to an SEC title game? I mean, Carson Beck's great. People are going to hate me on that. I think Carson Beck's a really good quarterback. He wasn't getting it done against Texas. Does Georgia beat Texas if Gunnar Stockton doesn't go out there? You can make a case that momentum switch is the most important thing that happened for Georgia. I mean, the crowd changed, the sideline changed. Georgia loves Gunnar. They do, as a program. I think the fan base, for the most part, believes in him. Everybody on the outside doesn't seem to be believing in Gunnar Stockton. But why Austin Simmons? Why Marcel Reed from Texas A&M, who was very up and down? I like Pavia. I think he's good. I think you can argue he's better than Stockton. Taylon Green from Arkansas. Have you seen enough from Taylon Green to where you'd have more confidence in him at Arkansas than Gunnar Stockton at Georgia? I think there's legitimate tit for tats there. So when you see Joel Klatt talking about how, I just have more confidence in the other quarterbacks at the top, and that's why Georgia's only number 8 on my list. I see that, and I'm like, Was his tape really that bad against Notre Dame? I didn't think it was. In fact, I actually came away more impressed with Gunnar. Thought he was one of the bright spots for Georgia in a loss. I don't just say that because that's Georgia's situation moving forward. I think about Feinbaum saying it was underwhelming. And then you think about Kirby Smart going on that show. And he says that Gunnar's hurt. Let me pull up exactly what he says. And you can find a little bit of a written version about this on dogpost.com. But Kirby says, yeah, I'm excited, talking about the season. He said, Gunnar Stockton got the message, man. Talking to Paul Feinbaum. What have we learned about Georgia recently in the last few years? They will take just about anything as fuel. They took fuel that they created themselves from Nolan Smith telling everyone that people said they were going to go 7-5 in 2022. They took that as fuel. No one was saying that. That was made up fuel. There's actual fuel about how people are doubting this Georgia football team, and I think that's a dangerous thing when you have the best coach in college football, likely the best ran program in the country, with one of the 3 or 4 most talented teams. I'm saying 3 or 4 because you could argue it's the top. We'll find out if it's actually more like 3 or 4. But in terms of talent, this team's got it around. And now they've really added to an offensive weapon room with the running backs and the receivers. They've really added to that, and it should be better than it was a year ago. And I look at that and I say, Gunnar Stockton should find some success. And if Gunnar's like Kirby, and if Gunnar is like Stetson and like all these other players for Georgia the last few years who can take that fuel and use it as fire, the way that Kirby wants them to, this doubt is going to bite people in the ass. And I think it's gotten a little disrespectful. This is a former 4-star recruit. This is a high school football legend who, statistically, outdueled Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Jake Fromm, all of these historical Georgia quarterbacks. Gunnar Stockton is at the top of those lists. And he's a gamer. He's the guy who lowers the shoulder, whether he should or shouldn't, and talks smack to defenders. I think people are going to regret this. I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman, but people are going to regret how low they thought about him. What do you think? Thanks for watching.